Overview. Think you know every trick in Marvel Rivals. Think again. Peni Parker is here to flip the script. She's not just another web slinger. She's a master of traps, stuns, and outsmarting her enemies at every turn. With webs, mines, and a stun that's always ready. Peni can lock down any area and make life miserable for anyone who dares to push forward. She's a defensive powerhouse, perfect for holding the line and shutting down even the most aggressive opponents. But here's the real question. Is she secretly overpowered or just misunderstood? The debate is raging, and it all comes down to how you use her unique toolkit. If you want to turn the tide of battle, frustrate your enemies, and pull off some jaw-dropping plays, Peni Parker might just be your new main. But to truly unlock her potential, you need to master her abilities and know exactly when and where to use them. So, what makes Peni's kit so special? Let's break down her abilities and see how you can become the ultimate trap queen or king in Marvel Rivals. Cyber Web Cluster, Peni's main weapon. The Cyber Web Cluster stands out because it never runs out of ammo. This means she can keep attacking non-stop without ever having to take a break. Since Peni doesn't need to reload like other characters, she can keep firing at enemies who are trying to hold a position. While her opponents have to stop shooting to reload their weapons, Peni just keeps the pressure going. The weapon works the same way whether you're right next to someone or shooting from far away. The damage stays exactly the same no matter what the distance is. Cyber Web Snare, Peni's secondary weapon, the Cyber Web Snare, stops enemies in their tracks when it hits them. If you shoot the web at walls, floors, or ceilings instead, it creates a web area on that spot. This ability is really powerful because it can even stop ultimate abilities while they're happening. For example, it can interrupt Scarlet Witch's reality erasure and Spider-Man's spectacular spin right in the middle of their attacks. The web also works like a shield that can block incoming shots, including some ultimate attacks. Iron Man's invincible pulse cannon is a perfect example of an ultimate that gets blocked by this ability. Since it only takes 3 seconds to recharge, you can use it over and over again to annoy your enemies and make things tough for them. If your team has players who like to dive in and attack, you can use the web to set up situations where they can pick off trapped enemies. Bionic Spider-Nest. Peni's Bionic Spider-Nest is something you can place down that stays in one spot. When you put it down, it creates a big web area around itself and keeps making little spider mines called Arachno-Mines. You get to choose exactly where to put it, but you can only have one out at a time. Here's the cool part. If your nest still has a lot of health when you take it down, it won't take as long before you can place another one. You need to be smart about where you put your nest. You want it somewhere it can actually do something useful, but also somewhere it won't get destroyed right away. This gets trickier depending on which map you're playing, and gets even harder when you're playing against better players. If you're doing well health-wise and can get healed up, you can actually stand in front of your nest to protect it when enemies try to attack it. This helps keep it alive longer. If you think the other team has figured out where your nest is or might come at it from a different direction, maybe they're using a portal to get around, don't be afraid to move it somewhere else. The key thing to remember is that the less damage your nest has taken, the faster you can put down a new one. Here's something really useful. If your spider nest hasn't been hurt at all, you can move it to a completely new spot right away without waiting for any cooldown time. Arachno-Mine. Arachno-Mines are these little spider-shaped robots that you can shoot and stick to pretty much any surface. Here's where it gets interesting. If you shoot them onto a cyberweb, they become hidden and the enemy team can't see them at all. When the mines are sitting in those webs, they automatically target anyone who walks into the web area. These mines are really handy because you can use them in different ways. They work great when you set them up with your webs, but you can also just spam them during fights to deal extra damage even when you don't have any webs set up. When you're shooting mines at someone who's attacking you, be careful because their attacks can destroy your mines if they hit them. The trick is to shoot your mines at an angle toward the enemy but not directly in the path of where they're shooting. You can stick these mines anywhere: walls, ceilings, pillars, basically any part of the map. Get creative and sneaky with where you put them to keep enemies guessing and catch them off guard for easy kills. Wall crawl. Peni can climb up walls, but there's a catch. She can only go straight up at a 90-degree angle. She can't crawl sideways or at weird angles, just directly upward on vertical surfaces. If the other team is trying to get an advantage by using high, ground, and elevated positions, you can use wall crawl to get up there and challenge them. It works even better when you combine it with her other abilities like Cyberbond to really put pressure on enemies who think they're safe up high. Cyberbond. Cyberbond is Peni's version of web swinging, but it's more limited than what you might expect. You shoot out a web strand that pulls you to whatever surface it hits, and then you stay connected to that spot until you decide to cancel it. When you use this ability, it also creates a cyberweb area. The really nice thing about Cyberbond is that it only takes 3 seconds to recharge, which makes Peni one of the quickest tank characters when it comes to getting around the map. This ability is super flexible and you can use it in lots of different ways, whether you're attacking or defending. Since it recharges so fast at just 3 seconds, you should use Cyberbond all the time to get back into fights or move to better positions. Just keep in mind that compared to Spider-Man and Venom's web-swinging abilities, Peni's Cyberbond doesn't reach nearly as far. You'll want to spend some time in the practice range getting used to how short the range actually is. There's one more thing to remember. If you walk more than 10 meters away from where your Cyberbond is attached, you'll automatically get yanked back to that webbed spot whether you want to or not. Spider Sweeper. Peni's ultimate ability, Spider Sweeper, makes her way faster and gives her a special sweep attack that knocks enemies up into the air. On top of that, she gets extra health and automatically shoots out cyberwebs and Arachno-Mines while she's moving around. You need to know when to use left click versus right click during your ultimate. Left click works better when you want to mess with the enemy team and disrupt what they're doing. Right click is the way to go when you want to control an area and deal lots of damage quickly, since it puts more mines on your web. Try to use your ultimate when you already have your nest placed and ready. Here's why this matters. Your web connects everything together and moves your mines to spots where enemies will step on them. If you can connect your ultimate web to your nest before you run at the enemies, it becomes way more effective and does a lot more damage. Armorized Spider-Nest. You can place your 2 nests far apart from each other and then use your cyberweb snare to connect them. When you do this, Peni gets twice as many mines working for her, and the spider mines can move really fast across the webs to go after enemies. They can target defensive setup strategy. When you're defending, it's much easier to get Peni set up properly. You should put your armored nest close to where your team is hanging out, so they can easily grab the armor packs when they need them. Your regular nest should go somewhere that's tough for the enemy team to reach. Since you can quickly destroy it and move it to a new spot, if it hasn't taken any damage, you don't have to worry too much about it getting found right away. Tacking strategy. When you need to push toward the enemy team, try placing one nest further forward than usual, but only after you've already put down your other nest where you normally would. High ground works really well for this setup because once you connect the nests together, the mines can climb up and down walls to get to their targets. This gives you way more coverage and makes it harder for enemies to avoid your mines.
I bet you can click on the next video before the time runs out. 3, 2, 1. You lose.